Listen for the sound first. The 76th minute in Miami, more than 64,000 people packed into the old Dolphins stadium. And the noise that goes up isn't for a goal. It isn't even for the ball. It's for a man walking onto the grass. Number 10, Neymar. He hadn't worn this shirt in 918 days, and for a few seconds the football stopped mattering, and a whole country exhaled at once. And here's the thing nobody in that roar quite understood yet. The night didn't belong to him. It never did. To see why, you have to rewind past the cheering, all the way back to a defender frozen on the ball. 7th minute, Wednesday the 24th of June. Scotland's Scott McKenna has it at his feet inside his own box, and all he needs to do is the thing defenders do 10,000 times a season, slide it sideways to Andy Robertson, and breathe. He doesn't. He hesitates. A 19-year-old named Rayon reads the hesitation and pounces. The ball squirts loose, and Vinicius Junior is suddenly through. One touch around the goalkeeper Angus Gunn, and he rolls it into an empty net. 7 minutes gone. One moment of doubt, one goal, and everything that follows tips from there. That's how this kind of night works. One domino, then the next, then the whole row. Because Scotland didn't only concede a goal, they conceded a mood. On the stroke of halftime, Bruno Guimaraes floats across to the far post. Nathan Patterson loses his man completely, and Vinicius rises unmarked to head in his second. 2-0. The Scots had twice failed to clear the same ball before it arrived. And if you're counting, that's now 2 goals built on Scottish errors rather than Brazilian magic alone. Hold on to that, because it matters more than the scoreline admits. The hour mark. Casemiro to Guimaraes dancing into the box, a slide across to Matheus Cunha, and Cunha finishes his 3rd goal of the tournament. 3-0. Brazil could have had 5, maybe 6. Gunn made 3 separate saves to deny Vinicius a hat-trick. A 4th Brazilian goal was chalked off by VAR. They played with the careless ease of a team that already knows the result is sitting in a drawer somewhere with its name on it. Alisson at the other end barely worked. 2 sharp second-half saves from Scott McTominay's header and a free kick, and kept a second straight clean sheet. That's the quiet detail in all the noise. Back-to-back shutouts. This isn't just a team that scores. It's starting to be a team that doesn't concede. And the man in the middle of it all is the one this story is really about. Because look at what Vinicius Junior did on Wednesday, beyond the 2 goals. He has now scored in 3 consecutive World Cup group games. That's not a hot streak, that's history. He's only the 5th Brazilian ever to score in his nation's first 3 matches at a World Cup, joining a list that reads like a Hall of Fame. Jairzinho in 1970, Romario in 1994, Ronaldo and Rivaldo in 2002. He took the Man of the Match award for the 3rd game running. He ends the group stage as Brazil's top scorer with 4 goals, level with Kylian Mbappe and Erling Haaland, one behind Lionel Messi. The Golden Boot, the prize for the tournament's top scorer, has quietly become a real race, and Vinicius has walked himself into the center of it. But you can't understand what Vinicius is becoming without understanding what he carries onto the pitch with him. And here I have to slow down, because the easy version of this story is wrong. You may have heard about the new rule at this World Cup, the one where a player who covers his mouth during a confrontation can be sent off, straight red. It's already happened. Paraguay's Miguel Almiron was the first man dismissed under it. Most people call it the Vinicius Law, and you'll see that name everywhere. It's wrong. The truth is sharper than the myth. It traces back to February 2026, a Champions League night in Lisbon, Benfica against Real Madrid. Vinicius scored, celebrated in front of the home fans, and was confronted by a 20-year-old Argentine named Gianluca Prestianni, who said something with his shirt pulled over his mouth. Vinicius ran to the referee and said he'd been called a monkey. The match was halted for nearly 10 minutes. Now the honest part, the part the slogans skip. The rule is actually known as the Prestianni Law, named after the man accused, not the man who accused. And UEFA, after investigating, ruled the language used was homophobic rather than racial, and handed Prestianni a 6-match ban. Prestianni himself denied any racist insult and said Vinicius misunderstood him. So the tidy story, victim of racism gets a rule named in his honor, isn't quite real. What's true is messier and in a way heavier. This is a man who has filed 18 legal complaints over abuse since 2022, who got 3 Valencia fans jailed in 2024 in the first conviction of its kind in Spain. He is the most scrutinized, most fouled, most argued about footballer alive. And his reply this week was 4 goals and a place in the Golden Boot race. He didn't win the argument, he just changed the subject to football. Now, let's be fair because this is the part the highlight reels quietly cut. How good were Brazil, really? 2 of their 3 goals came straight from Scottish mistakes. McKenna's freeze, Patterson losing his runner. Steve Clark's side were passive and got punished for it. And the brutal truth underneath it, Scotland have never once reached the World Cup knockout rounds, not in their entire history, going back decades. And after this, they're left waiting on other people's results, praying to sneak through as one of the best third-place teams. A nation's long, aching wait extended one more night. And it's not as if they had room for error in that group. Group C was tight to the last kick. On the very same day, in another stadium, Morocco beat Haiti 4-2 and finished level with Brazil on 7 points, both through to the last 32, separated only by goal difference. That's how close the top of this group ran. Brazil finished first on 2 wins and a draw. Morocco edged in behind them, and Scotland were left counting goals that weren't theirs. So yes, Brazil have looked the part. But against whom? Haiti, Scotland, modest opposition. The real examination starts in the round of 32 on Monday the 29th of June in Houston against whoever finishes second in Group F, Netherlands, Japan, or Sweden. We honestly don't yet know how good this Brazil is. We only know they punish the weak without mercy. Which brings us back to the man everyone actually came to see. Because here's the emotional truth of that 76th minute, and it isn't the simple fairy tale. Neymar came on for Cunha to the loudest cheer of the entire night, and then, gently, almost cruelly, he showed you how far away he still is. One encouraging forward pass, a shot blasted straight at the keeper, an audacious flick that came to nothing, and a corner he tried to score directly. The player ratings settled on a 6.5, and on the word that hung over the whole cameo, in the kindest phrasing anyone could find, he looked a yard off the pace. He's 34. This is almost certainly his last World Cup. He fought through 918 days of injury just to stand on that grass again, and the moment he finally did, the football told him the truth the crowd was too tender to say out loud. His coach, Carlo Ancelotti, called the return a real boost and said the win came from the team working as one. Maybe it is a boost. But a boost for what? For the team's ceiling in the knockouts, or for the heart of a nation that simply isn't ready to let go? Then the whistle went, and Neymar did something that, if you were watching closely, told the whole story in a single gesture. He crossed the pitch to find Vinicius first. He embraced him, and then he said it out loud. "Vini is our best player now," Neymar said. "He's in incredible form, he's deciding games, and that's important for us. Our best player now." Sit with that. The idol came home after 918 days to the biggest roar of the night in what may be his final World Cup, and the first thing he did was hand the crown to the man who had already taken it. Everyone walked into that stadium to watch Neymar return. They walked out talking about Vinicius. And the most generous, most revealing act of Neymar's whole emotional night wasn't a pass or a shot or a flick of the boot. It was knowing it himself. So here's where the night flips on you. We told ourselves this was a comeback story. 918 days, the prodigal son, cue the music. But maybe it was never a comeback at all. Maybe it was a handover, a quiet, graceful passing of something from one pair of hands into another, dressed up as a homecoming so we wouldn't notice what we were really watching. So I'll leave it with you. When the noise goes up that loud for a man simply walking onto a pitch, are we cheering for what's coming back, or are we saying goodbye and just refusing to use the word? Tell me in the comments who you think this Brazil belongs to now, the idol returning or the heir who's already arrived. And if you want to be in the room when we find out Monday Houston, the first real test, stay close, because this story is only at halftime. 918 days. Strange, isn't it? How the loudest night of a man's comeback can be the very night the page quietly turns.